the school example struck me because I mean I'm left-handed, and I remember in school, like we always had those tables where like you had the arm for the right, and I was like the one kid whose elbow was just always down, and then I always try to ask my teacher like there has to be like, and they're like I'm sure they make them, but they're not here, and then that's when I learned about the whole 90% 10% fact, and I realized because I'm the minority in this percentage, like I'm not serviced.
That's right.
And that was a prime example of one size fits all.
Yeah, that's
but it was terrible.
No, that's right. And it's this that element of like that myth of the average. Yeah. There's a great book called The End of Average by Todd Rose, which I highly recommend for anyone who's interested in this topic and just for any designer in general, because it really gets to where that norm and that average came from. The idea of a normal didn't always exist. There was a moment that it was designed. There was a moment it was constructed and embedded in our thinking that there was a thing called normal. And that became the ideal, and then it became, no, you should be above average. Like our relationship to what normal is, that book is a really...
Wasn't it for like marketing purposes? I think I've like read the story to sell clothes or something at a specific... I don't know.
There's a lot of normalization that happened, like even down to like where your buttons, your button is on your shirt. Like it was this concept of like men button themselves, but women are buttoned by other people.
Marketers.
Why the buttons are...
There's a lot going on in there, right? There's a lot going on. Yeah, I can give you a real quick example of that. I think a lot of it actually came out of industrialization and mass production. But one of the early examples that I love is from the Air Force and the first flight deck, right? So the first flight deck, cockpit flight deck, fighter planes were designed by taking like body measurements of 2,000 pilots, right? And they averaged every single dimension of their body, and I think they probably were all right-handed. So they took all that information and then they averaged it and they took the number right in the middle. And that must be the perfect pilot. So we're going to design this flight deck to fit that perfect pilot, right? And everything was fixed in place. And what they found is there were a lot of failures, a lot of crashes. They couldn't attribute to mechanical failure or to pilot error. And they, quite frankly, were just running out of pilots towards the end of World War II. And in the preparation for the Korean War, they really had to go back and take a hard look at what was not working about that design. And they measured, again, all their pilots and found that nobody actually fit all of those dimensions. Yeah. So no human being perfectly had all the right lengths and shapes and sizes. And in essence, that normal was everyone and then no one. And that led to a lot of advancement and innovation in adjustable controls, adjustable seats. If you could move the seat just like 3 inches this way, like 8 times more people could be qualified to be pilots. Chin straps. A lot of our automotive, cars and safety features in there come from those early advancements. So that idea of normal, I just love to push on it because we've been kind of, as engineers, designers, conditioned to think about 80-20. I keep doing this bell curve, but like the 80-20, and it's a bit confronting sometimes to say there is no normal, there is no 80-20. There's only diverse bodies and diverse people. I mean, just everybody's different. So then what do you do? And that's where we've really leaned on, I really lean on thinking about exclusion, right? Like just what is it you're trying to design right now? And who is going to be unable to use that? Who is most unable to use that, swing set in your backyard or the prosthetic arm that you're designing or the desk that the student sits in? Like who is most unable to use that? And then think about what is actually going to serve and adapt that personal fit for someone.